Hello people, and welcome back to another episode of Cities Skylines Modular Builds. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And thank you for all the support on last week's episode. You guys really enjoyed the highway rest stop. We had some nice feedback saying there might be a little too many car parks, and I do agree with that. However, for this particular highway stop, we were mainly looking at a lot of English inspiration, which tends to be literally car parks and one main building. But I guess everywhere in the world is different. There are some nice little petrol station assets. There's a 4x4 commercial that would work nicely in this as well. That turns out to be like a petrol / gas station, whatever you call it, wherever you are in the world. But yeah, this asset works really nicely here as well. Wonderful. Fantastic. Anyway, let's get on with today's episode. So today we're going to be ticking off another viewer request for an Aviation Club with surrounds. This is a really fun one. Again, it's going to be using a lot of different assets that don't really correspond to that particular build. In terms of, we're going to be using a bit of industry stuff today, which you wouldn't really put with a Aviation Club, but it's going to really add to the aesthetic that we are going for. So, in terms of placement in the city for this, you're looking suburban / rural. You wouldn't really put this in a high density part of town unless you're kind of merging the Aviation Club with your international airports to create like a multiple airstrip kind of vibe. But otherwise you want to be a kind of rural or suburban. So we have this kind of mock suburb here where we threw in down the business park and the leisure centre. I'm just going to tether it onto the end of this. And don't forget guys, if you do end up using the modular builds, get yourselves down in the Discord. I'd love to see them in action. Okay, so we're going to start the Aviation Club off. We're just going to draw out a bit of road out of whatever you're building this from. Doesn't really matter how long, depends if you want it to be a little bit of a drive down, or you want it to be a little bit shorter, then, you know, you just make that decision yourself. And then this is where we're going to start from the end. So, we're going to come into our roads. We're going to grab a small industry road. The industry road is not essential. If you're playing without the industry's DLC, then just use any of the normal roads. I'm just going with industry because of the kind of aesthetic look. And then we're going to come out here by a distance of 20 tiles. Then once we have this road in here, we're going to come out from this one by a distance of 40 tiles, which is a cost of 900 with the small industrial road. No, it's not, sorry. Cost by 1200 with the small industrial road. There you go. And then dive into our unique buildings. Aviation Club is a level 4 and it does come with Sunset Harbour, if you are wondering. And then we're going to place this. Doesn't really matter how far along this road you place it, it's kind of up to you, but the park that we're going to draw in, yours will kind of vary in size depending on how far you draw it across. And then from these snap nodes that line up with the fence asset here, so we can see we can draw out from this one. This is the one you want to be snapping from, then we can do the same on this side as well. And the distance you want to be drawing out from those snap points is a distance of 330. And then the same again on this one. And then bring them together at the bottom like this. If you want to grab a small district tool and draw it over those roads that we've just drawn in, go ahead and grab yourself a commercial specialization of organic and local produce. This comes with the Green Cities DLC. If you don't have it, then just leave this part of the build out or fill this out with something else, your own little design. But a 2x3 commercial zoning within this space has a chance of generating as a car park with a cover. It's a really nice looking asset. I'm just going to use find it and plot the growables to place it in. I'll show you which one it is that we're after here. And we want to go for Eco Growables. And it's this one right here. Eco Commercial 3x2. Okay. It's got this nice little like covered roof on it, which is really sweet. And we're going to place in those ones. Obviously, if you're without plot the growables or on console, just wait for these to come in. They will eventually, draw out the zonings, go and do something else in the build, and just keep checking on them. Then, of course, once they're in, make sure that they are historic, so you don't accidentally delete them. In terms of the middle, there's a couple of different designs you can run with. You can either grab the regular vanilla pavement path and draw 2 of them up each side like this. And then you can decorate this middle with your own tree design. If you don't want to do that, then just come ahead and grab a park, like any park path you want, turn off all your snapping, and then just draw it directly down the middle. as so. It's up to you which design you want to go for, but this is kind of my little preferred one. So it's up to you if you want to kind of incorporate that into the build. But you will need green cities and park life to do it if you're using this particular path anyway. Okay, this is what we're looking right now. It's kind of basic, but don't worry, it will get there, I promise. We're going to come back into our roads, and then from this point right here, obviously with all our snapping on, so from the bottom right corner of your car park, we're going to draw down to level up with the initial road guideline, and then hook back into the start of our little, right into the start of the modular build here at this junction. Okay. Then we're going to come into park life, and we're going to come into park maintenance. We're going to grab ourselves the park maintenance building. Now this isn't really kind of essential to the build, this particular asset. But I think there's something about it that just goes with the Aviation Club for me. Yeah, I really like it. That's kind of why I'm including it. Obviously, we mentioned at the start, this is more aesthetic building. But, if you can't find a place in your city to place the park maintenance building, then, make it part of this aviation build, and it will still service the rest of the parks in your city as well. So it's a nice little touch. And then what I'm going to do with this area around the park maintenance building, just join some pathways and then use some of your park life assets here too if you want to. You can make this all trees if you like. It's really kind of an open space for you to kind of put your own stamp on the modular build. You can maybe run a couple of cafes where people can stop near the car parks. Pop in a couple of little symmetrical restrooms here if you wanted to. And then of course when we come round to detail up, we'll kind of do a nice little tree pattern here as well. So make these facilities part of the build. Kind of they're leaving the Aviation Club, they can grab a coffee before they get in the car. Or they might be just watching, doing like a bit of plane spotting. You can use your imagination and kind of make something of that if you like. Then what we're going to do is we're going to come right up to the edge of the Aviation Club asset here where we have the fencing. And we're just going to draw out from here by a distance of 8 tiles, which will bring us up to about there. And then right up to the edge of the runway. We'll kind of have a road that runs parallel with it, right? That's kind of the idea that we're going for here. Then we're going to dive into our garbage and industry tab, come across over to oil, and then we're going to slide across and grab ourselves a couple of oil industry storage. Again, if you are playing kind of a city that has oil industry, oil trucks will come and store oil here. It will be a little bit of traffic at first, but not tons, so don't worry about it. It will eventually fade away and that traffic will just become part of the build. And then we're going to place a couple of these in here. I'm going to go for 2 by 2, side by side like this. And they almost act as like hangars, just small hangars that you imagine tiny aircraft like this would be leaving from. It's kind of the vibe that we're going to go for here, right? Hopefully you guys can kind of get that across. And then with the actual, most of the detail in here is going to come with our oil industry fences. So you can kind of draw these in around the edge of the road network that we've just drawn in. And this will just help give you a little more of a boxed in, almost like a secure feel. If you do want to make this a little bit larger scale, feel free to make this entry road here a toll booth. Almost like a security gate, you have to show like your pilot's license or whatever to actually get in. I'm not going to go down that route, but you can do that as well if you want. Okay, this is what the build's looking like right now. You can see some ideas and themes beginning to develop within it. Alright, we'll carry on here. So very similar to what we did with this road coming up the side of the asset, we're going to do the same on this side. We're going to come up as far as we can. 9 tiles, I think. And then we're going to bring out a little piece like that. We have a road that looks like this. We can now delete this one because we don't need it anymore. And then we're going to come ahead and grab our fire stuff. And we're going to drop in the fire helicopter depot facing onto this road. There's one right here. So, you know, it's got some more of those air vibes to it. You can always use the police one if you wanted to. We'll kind of have a little side-by-side comparison here so you can see which one you prefer. This one's also a nice little asset. And then from this bottom corner, where we've just placed in the emergency services helicopter depot, we're going to come down by a distance of 12 tiles, which is one more than this road guideline right here. And then we're just going to come across by 15 for right now. Then we're going to grab a helicopter depot, which is in public transport under air transport. And we're going to grab a helicopter stop. And we're going to place this right up against the emergency services one right here. We've got some nice little double laid fences developing in here now as well, which is cool. It's got an air control tower, like fuel storage on it as well. Very much fits in with the theme of this build. Okay. Then we're going to draw a road behind it. Now for those without Find It and Plot the Growables, this will be a little bit of a ball ache. You want to draw the road in behind the helicopter depot. So it's just about touching there, like as close as you can get it to the fire one. And then under your industrial assets, there is this one right here, the cargo yard. This spawns in as a 4x4 commercial zone. If you are not playing with Plot the Growables, this will be hard to get, but just bear with it. It will come eventually. You have to keep deleting, waiting for them to level up, and then coming in again. But it is like kind of perfect for this build. You know, plane parts, jet fuel, bits and pieces. You know, you would imagine they would have something like this. You could also use this in a cargo hub build as well if you wanted to. Because, you know, they can be fairly difficult to replicate with the unmodded game. So I'm going to kind of duplicate these out here. We're going to leave another 4 tile space before we come up the back. Then we can see those 4x4 tiles will appear again. And then we can just come through like this and double up the pattern a little bit, right? And this side is more kind of industrial, more maintenance of the aircraft in the Aviation Club. We're starting to build more of a visitor customer center around this side of things, right? That's what we're going for anyway. it will come off, I hope. Okay, and then what we're going to do with this empty road here is we're going to now draw a border around the airfield. Just box it all in, hook these roads in too. Then we'll come around the side here again. And then straight around the runway. And back into this road guideline down here. I wouldn't connect this one up because we're going to kind of make this part of the airfield. So you don't want people just driving from that point. Have it end at a sensible location. And then a really good tip for getting this thing to look realistic is to do lots of borders, tons of oil industry fencing. So just come to your angle and where we started this one earlier. We're just going to draw in a really simple box, snapping to the angle all the way along this road that we've just drawn in. Then once we've got our border in, there's a really nice 2x2 office zone that works here. It's this one. You can kind of rotate these so they're mirrored with one another. Almost like a little bit of HR administration, places for storing paperwork and stuff like that. And then with the gap in the middle, you want to come ahead and use your part paths without decorations. And then just fill in spaces between. And of course, this leaves us a little bit of decorating room. Maybe just to squeeze in an odd couple of trees. Mix and match them. And then we'll just see a little bit of kind of greenery coming into which is otherwise quite an industrial and specialised build. Yeah, so rather than just placing your fire helicopter depots, your part maintenance buildings, and your oil storage along a main road and leaving them, possible to combine them into kind of a stylized build, you know? You can do what you like with them. So you can kind of see now how this fits into more of a rural surrounding. But you could do this in your downtown as well if you wanted to. There'd be no reason why you couldn't do that. Okay, so in terms of other assets that work nicely with this build, the water tower that came with Sunset Harbour has got a little bit of kind of aviation about it. Got some like slight air control vibes, you know. Kind of works here, and it's also a nice way to, you know, get some of that water into your city as well if you're maybe running a little low. So not a bad asset to incorporate into this. And then we can even do some detailing with the fence here as well. So if you did want to do this one, then come ahead and grab yourself a regular dirt path. Now you don't want any of it snapping on, make it easier to get closer. And then you can almost like draw this up. Grab the oil industry fence again with the angle. And then just draw that up as close as you can grab it as well. Almost like a little access path, right? Get some rocks and stuff down in here too, with all the empty space that you've got left over. I'll pack it out and decorate it as you see fit. Whether or not you want to use taller trees while you're around, kind of, you know, plains, this close to the ground is up to you. But you can come up with a couple of designs using some of the other industrial assets as well, or utility assets, I guess, in this case. Some more assets that we can look at. The post office is a really nice asset to plop in this build if you wanted to. Kind of throw it down along the corner here. Actually take away this fence and then use the post office as this corner. And then we can use that fence again. Just kind of bring it up and give ourselves a little border around here. And feel free as well, if you want to, expand this district here and continue to make some more commercial, almost like people have access to different shops. If you want to carry on using the Green City stuff, then of course, you know, do that, but there are some good honourable mentions within the regular small commercial pool. There's the wine and liquor store, which is a 2x2. This one looks quite nice here as well. Of course, you can grab some of the Fry Guys stuff as well, so they have somewhere to eat. So just draw in some different sized commercial zonings. And maybe go for like a 3x3, a 4x3 and a 4x4. And try out some different assets that you're not used to using, ones that you would otherwise leave alone. And just kind of create like a little almost like customer hub, you know, where if they had us come in here for a Sunday afternoon to relax at the Aviation Club, why Freddie flies the family private jet. And mother and father want to sit and sip some wine, or, you know, whatever vibe or justification you want to come up for for including some of these assets. You know, stuff like this one doesn't really work. You know, there's a Green Cities one here as well that probably not the right vibe. So keep chopping and changing them, trying out different styles, and that you'll soon come across an asset that you're happy with. So I'll do that in my kind of detailing session. I'll just flick through some assets. You know, all these are in the vanilla game. There's no workshop stuff here. You've just got to zone and see what you like, you know. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys kind of place around this. If any of you do end up using this, I'd be really interested to see. Of course, I have gotten to check my notes thinking that we were nearly done, and we're not. So along the back road here, against the runway, so you kind of see we have like different modules all spanning out of the Aviation Club right now. I've got this one on the side, these two on the bottom, and then there's one to the left here, but this side is left a little bit empty, a little bit vanilla. So we're going to, oh, no, not do that. We're not going to leave the game. We're going to place in our helicopter depot. And then we're going to draw that industrial road around it again. Just so it's breaking this massive straight line that runs along the back of the airfield. Again, if you are without Sunset Harbour, use something else or just leave it as it was. It's up to you, you know, if you want to kind of factor it in. And of course, don't forget to redraw in your oil entry vents as well. Wonderful. You can kind of see now it does add something onto this side of the build, so it's not totally naked. And you know, it's got those nice small airfield, small airstrip vibes again, which is really what we're looking for. Okay guys, so this does feel like a good place to jump into a detailing time lapse, and we're going to surround this with quite a thick wood, so it has that raw vibe about it for the cinematics. Tidy up some of these commercials here, get some stuff in that we're happy with, and also do something a little more interesting with this particular park area, or kind of open green space, I guess, just to kind of spruce it up and make it a bit more interesting than it is now. It's kind of your general shape for a small modular build of an aviation club with surrounds. It's not bad with the vanilla game, I don't think. I'm fairly happy with this one. But of course, we'll see what the final product looks like at the end of the detailing. As always, we will be right back. Alright guys, that is going to do it for today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed, a like below is always appreciated. Even as much if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. I'm fairly happy with this. This is a really kind of cool way to use a lot of those buildings that you kind of have difficulty placing. They don't really belong in a build with anything else. Stuff like the park maintenance building, the emergency services, helicopter stuff. Some very specific industrial and commercial zoning around here as well, like the car parks and all the cargo containers in the bottom left. Yeah, there's a couple of different unique styles and stuff that have kind of come into this. If you do have a public transport nearby, definitely introduce a tram loop into this thing as well, or trolleybus or bus, monorail, whatever you have. It doesn't draw vast amounts of traffic, but you know, it's always cool to kind of factor in public transport into their own little builds as well. Really cool way to use the Aviation Club. I hope that the requester, which I'll pop the name up on screen now, is happy with this. If not, I apologise. This thing should look great at night time, with all kind of planes coming and going, and all the lights coming on as usual. But otherwise, I will shut up and I will leave it there. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.